Think Tech Hawaii. Civil engagement lives here.
Happy Juneteenth. Juneteenth is the oldest national celebrated commemoration of the ending of slavery in the United States. Today, Juneteenth commemorates African American freedom and emphasizes education and achievement. I'm your host, Sharon Thomas Yarbrough. Welcome and thank you for joining Sister Power. Well, welcome, ladies, to Sister Power.
Thank you, Sharon.
Aloha. Thank you so much for joining the show and talking about Juneteenth.
Yeah.
And this is such a very, very busy weekend, and we wanted to say Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there as well.
Yes.
Yeah, Happy Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day.
Yeah, absolutely. And so let's just start taking people down and educating them and inspiring them about celebrating Juneteenth. And what is Juneteenth?
Well, hi, thank you for having us today, Sharon.
And you know, let me just start over, because I did not introduce my guest, and I don't know what happened with that, but I want to introduce to you a Sister Power guest.
Yes.
And we have, for our guests, Dr. Marcia Howard and Dr. Deborah Murray.
Yes.
And Dr. Howard is a special education teacher who has taught students for over 23 years with disabilities, am I correct?
Correct.
And her love of travel and education has taken her to many countries, such as France and South Africa and Belgium and many other places. And then we have the lovely, very lovely Deborah Murray. Is a passionate pastor, preacher, teacher, author, and leadership consultant. And Dr. Murray is the president of Simple Strategies for Success. And this is a nonprofit organization, am I correct? And is devoted to skill building, counseling, and micro-business development for women with children living in impoverished areas around the world. And so we'll start again. Welcome to Sister Power.
Thank you, Sharon.
Okay.
It's great to be here.
I said we're just sitting here and I haven't told the audience who our guest. Okay, and let's just tell the viewers from all over the world, what is Juneteenth?
Yes, I think just to reiterate what you said in the opening, that Juneteenth is the oldest celebrated day that slavery was actually ended. From what we know, during the Emancipation Proclamation that was stated in September, but enacted not until January 1st of 1863, the slaves were set free. However, in Texas, in Galveston, Texas, the slaves were not notified that they had indeed been set free 2 years prior. And so they were left to do the free manual labor of their masters, not knowing that they had actually achieved freedom.
So now, how long? How long did you say they had been freed before?
They had not been freed for the 2 years.
2 years.
Yes.
That's a good point.
So the proclamation came.
Yes.
2 years prior.
2 years
But
prior.
they were still working.
They were still working for their masters. And so the theory was brought up, why hadn't these people found out that they were free? And some of the theories that are that I researched was perhaps one person who was designated to tell them of the good news had been murdered on the way to tell the people of Galveston. The other theory was that the news was deliberately withheld from them so that they can continue providing free labor for their masters and being in subservient positions. And then the third theory was that they wanted to hold the slaves for the one last cotton harvest that was coming in and didn't want to interrupt that service for them. So there were theories as to why didn't these specific people in Texas at the time hear the news that everyone else had heard 2 years prior. So Juneteenth is now, we commemorate that day that the slaves were then told, and that was the final ending of slavery in the United States.
And so Texas deemed the holiday worthy of statewide recognition in 1980.
Yes.
So that was the first state.
Yes, to commemorate.
To do so.
Yes, and since then other states have taken up that observation, except 5 states that we know of.
And what 5 states?
From what I read, the 5 states were Hawaii, sadly, Montana, North and South Dakota, and there's one more state that I can't remember.
Montana. Did you say Montana?
Montana. So yeah, that would be the 5.
Okay, right. Well, why should we celebrate Juneteenth? And Marcia, how is it celebrated? Deborah, tell us about that. Thank you, Marcia,
No
for
problem.
what is Juneteenth.
No
we have
problem.
that. So now why should we celebrate it, Deborah?
Well, we should celebrate it because we're free.
Okay.
Yeah, and to add on to that, I think the fact that it is a commemoration of what the mindset of slave owners and those who had the power at the time continued to think that human labor was warranted by Africans and African Americans. So I think we need to commemorate that indeed we are free, and that we deserve to be free, and that we have inalienable rights that were given to us as human beings.
Yeah, so when I was talking about us being free, oftentimes we take this freedom for granted. And so when we sit with this moment of Juneteenth and reflect on a time when we as a people could not have freedom of expression. We didn't have control or agency of our own bodies. People thought for us instead of us having the ability to think for ourselves. And so now I can sit here on television.
On television.
On television.
And talk to the world.
Oh my goodness, my ancestors.
Yes.
My ancestors are rejoicing.
Yeah.
Because this is a day they hoped for. Some died never receiving this promise that they would be free.
Yeah.
And so we celebrate reflecting and remembering that many gave their lives for this freedom that you and me and you can enjoy.
Yes.
Yeah. And that is such a rejoicing moment that we're sitting here today, not 1, but 2, 3 African American queens, and we're able to tell our stories.
Yes.
You know, it's awesome. You know, Marcia has her PhD.
Yes, I have a PhD in special education from the University of Hawaii at Manoa in exceptionalities. So I am blessed to have and carry one of the highest degree in the land in the United States and across the world.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah. So there's nowhere to go after you receive your doctorate. You can just get other doctorates, but
you can get more.
The highest. So when I think about my sister telling me that she was a sharecropper, and she's not that old, but my mother and my father were sharecroppers.
Wow.
I mean, they picked cotton, and she had a little cotton sack as a child. And to think that my foreparents didn't have this opportunity. So when I graduated and received my doctorate, I received it in honor of them.
Absolutely.
I felt each and every one of them rejoicing. I recently went to Africa, and as I was there, I stood up and I preached in a church, and I felt a full circle of coming home, you know, because they always wanted to come home, to come back to Africa, and they didn't get a chance.
Yeah.
And there I was standing there as someone who had been taken and now home, and with all of this freedom and these liberties and education, making them proud.
Back to the motherland.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
What a story.
Good.
And you're going to just lead us into the Emancipation Proclamation.
Yes, so on this day, around the world, people celebrate. And before they celebrate, they listen to the Emancipation Proclamation, and they listen to what's considered General Order Number 3. And the Emancipation Proclamation is pretty lengthy. But I just want to connect you with the words, a few words, that Abraham Lincoln said. So Abraham Lincoln said that the executive will on the first day of January aforesaid, by proclamation, designates the states and parts of the states, and any in which the people thereof respectively shall then be in rebellion against the United States, and the fact that any state or the people thereof shall on that day be in good faith represented in Congress of the United States by the members chosen thereto at elections, wherein a majority of the qualified voters of such state have participated. And that was important because now we had an executive order by the president. And he said this as the commander-in-chief over the war. But it had to be ratified through Congress. And so, you know, that's another reason to celebrate is because we know it's not always easy to get unification of, you know, our system. So Congress actually ratified it as well. And Abraham Lincoln says, by virtue of the power in me vested as Commander-in-Chief of the Army and Navy of the United States, in time of actual armed rebellion against the authority and the government of the United States proclamation, and as a fit and necessary war measure for suppressing this rebellion, therefore on this first day in January, in the year of our Lord, 1863, in accordance with my purpose, I do publicly proclaim for the full period from this day above mentioned, an order that designates freedom.
Freedom. And we're going to talk more about Juneteenth celebration when we come back. I love that. I love that. We'll be back.
Are you tired of sleepwalking through life? Are you dreaming of a healthier, wealthier, happier you? You're not alone, and that's why thousands of people tune in each week to watch R.B. Kelly on Out of the Comfort Zone, Tuesdays at 1 p.m. Make a change, get the help you need, and stop sucking at life.
Hey, R.B., we're about to go live.
Oh. Hello, it's 1 p.m. on a Tuesday afternoon, and I'm your host, R.B. Kelly. Welcome to Out of the Comfort Zone.
Hi everyone, I'm Andrea Gabrieli. I'm the host for Young Talents Making Way here on ThinkTech Hawaii. We talk every Tuesday at 11 a.m. about things that matters to tech, matter to science, to the people of Hawaii, with some extraordinary guests, the students of our schools who are participating in science fair. So Young Talents Making Way every Tuesday at 11 a.m. only on ThinkTech Hawaii. Mahalo.
Hello, I'm Dave Stevens, host of the Cyber Underground. This is where we discuss everything that relates to computers that's just going to scare you out of your mind. So come join us every week here on thinktechhawaii.com, 1 p.m. on Friday afternoons. And then you can go see all our episodes on YouTube. Just look up the Cyber Underground on YouTube. All our shows will show up, and please follow us. We're always giving you current, relevant information to protect you, keeping you safe. Aloha.
Welcome back to Juneteenth, and my special guest is Dr. Deborah Murray and Dr. Marcia Howard, and we're talking about the Juneteenth celebration. And Deborah, how do we continue the legacy? And before you answer that, what is the significance in 2018? Let's talk about the significance of Juneteenth in 2018.
Oh, wow. Do you want me to go first, or do you?
Either one of you. Either one of you.
Before you share, I just wanted to say that when Juneteenth was happening years ago, when the people first found out, how they would commemorate it is they would have barbecues, they would have rodeos, they would cook their best foods and present it to the community, where it was just a gathering where people would come and hear about the stories, just like you shared about your sister and your mom and dad. And then just one thing that really stood out to me was how they used to take off of their old rags and their old clothes and throw them into the lake and get the new clothes. Most of what the old masters had left, because a lot of them fled the South now that the blacks were free, because there was no one to do their labor. So they lost a lot of money and had to gather up their things and leave. And so the slaves would don the master's clothing, the finest threads, and have this big elaborate picnic, and that's what they still do today.
Yeah, and we're celebrating, and I'm so excited that Honolulu, Hawaii, is celebrating. There are all type of various Juneteenth celebrations, because we have parades and concerts and storytelling, and I know that there is a special Juneteenth celebration at Kapiolani Park, and it's by the Popola Project, and it's entitled Get Free, and it's Saturday, June 16th at Kapiolani Park for an afternoon of music and cultural art from across the African diaspora. Bring your ohana. They want you to bring your grill, and it is kid friendly. And there's a picture of it right there. Get Free, Juneteenth 2018 at Kapiolani Park, and it's going to be at the picnic area 7, just across from Kaimana Beach, right? From 1 to 5 p.m. and they're having drumming and dancing. And tell us about your organization that you started.
So
Marcia.
Sewa Fade, West African Dancing and Drumming, will participate in the Juneteenth celebrations. We will be at Trinity Baptist Church performing at 3 o'clock with live African drumming and dancing. So we're excited about that. But Trinity will have games and festivities starting at 12 o'clock until 5 p.m., I believe.
Woo!
Yes.
So there's a lot to do on Saturday.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Well, one of the reasons why that's really significant is because after the proclamation was enacted, the Jim Crow laws came up. And one of the things that happened in the Jim Crow laws was that blacks, people of African descent, could not congregate in public places.
Right.
And so this reclaiming of the public place, this reclaiming of the park, a place that if you were even seen in the park, that you could be arrested, you could be beaten. So these celebrations are important to have in public places because it also represents, I'm free, I really am free.
And I'm glad you did bring that up, because we were discussing earlier during the break that you were saying that people were arrested, celebrating the Juneteenth, and unfortunately we have something similar to that going on right now, that people are calling the police on us for, we were talking about it, Marcia, just being there.
Just by being there, and so it seems that we are regressing tremendously, where we have this freedom because of the Emancipation Proclamation, but years now, here we are in 2018, and African Americans can't meet at coffee houses, we can't have barbecues in the park, we can't go to Airbnbs, we can't. It just seems like we are regressing to where being African American is just another big target where we can't escape just being just being.
Just being.
Just being who we are and doing what we do. And so there has to be a coming together and a commemoration of, again, what did we go through? What can we do to make it better? How can we continue to strive for the betterment of not just African Americans, but all of those that are being marginalized? Last month, there was a man who berated a Hispanic woman for speaking in a deli because he didn't understand. And so we're seeing that not just against African Americans, but sadly just against people of color.
Yeah, brown people people and black people.
Yes.
And you know, before we get started, I know that we have a poem, but before we move forward, the Honolulu African American Film Festival, we are having something for Juneteenth, and it's Jules Catch One, and I wanted to put that out there for everyone to please come, and maybe there's later on we'll show Jules Catch One, and there it is on the screen. It is Saturday, June 16th, 7:30 p.m. With June Thias Williams at the Doris Duke Theater, and this is One Woman, One City, No Fear for 42 years. And why this is so important, because we're talking about how people are marginalized. Jules Catch One, this timely documentary distributed by Ava DuVernay's Array Releasing chronicles the country's oldest Black-owned disco and the legacy of businesswoman, activist, and healer. And this was a place that anyone, you know, whoever you may be, no matter what color, your gender, you could come and get your party on. So that's going to be Saturday night at the Doris Duke Theater, and we want everyone to please come out and support that.
Awesome. Yeah, and there was one more show Monday.
Yes.
At the
Manoa Theater.
At the Manoa Valley Theater. The director
Flying West.
Yes.
Pearl,
about
Pearl Cleage.
I can't remember her last name.
Her name is Pearl.
If you look at the Manoa Valley Theater webpage, it is on Monday at 7:30.
7:30.
And it's discussing about the blacks, or African Americans who were traveling west to Kansas.
And
we're giving giving homestead land. It's a 6-person show, I believe. So if you can come out to Manoa Valley Theater to support the sister, that would be great.
Yeah, just come out. And I think we have a poem that you would like to share.
Yeah, so this poem is by Robert Hayden, and it's called Renegade, Renegade. Okay. And I'm just going to read this section because, again, after the slaves were freed, many of them wanted to find their families that were in neighboring counties or neighboring states. And a lot of them were free but didn't know what to do with that freedom. You know, they had been forbidden to read, to write, to travel. And so now, with this freedom, they wanted to find their families. So in this poem,
I think you just made an important point, that it is thought that sometimes families were together, but
they were not together. They were sold off.
Yes.
And so in this poem by Robert Hayden, Renegade, Renegade, it says, "No more auction blocks for me, no more driver's lash for me. If you see my Pompeii, 30 years of age, new breeches, plain stockings, Negro shoes, and if you see my Anna, likely young mulatto, branded E on her right cheek and R on the left, catch them if you can and notify subscriber. Catch them if you can, but it won't be easy. They'll dart underground when you try to catch them and plunge into quicksand. Whirlpool mazes turn into scorpions when you try to catch them. And before I'll be a slave, I'll be buried in my grave." So this just commemorates that when the slaves were free, they tried to get to the northern line, to join the Union armies, to be free, and to gather their people together, to be a family once again.
And I love that. And Dr. Murray, just give us some motivating and inspiring and educate our people and to let them know this is a time to celebrate.
Yes.
You know, we've got, a couple of minutes left, and we want to leave our people with, number one, we have an event, Get Free, at Kapiolani Park from 1 to 5. Definitely come out there. And we have one at Trinity from 12 to 5. 12 to 5,
with
Trinity
African
Baptist
dancing
Church.
at 3 o'clock.
Right. And then we have, to end the evening, we we have Jules Catch One at the Honolulu Museum of Arts, Doris Duke Theater, and it's been put on by the Honolulu African American Film Festival. But just lead us out. You know, you have a minute, and then we'll close.
I just like to say, this is another reading that used to be read, and it's called We Rose. From Africa's heart, we rose. Already a people, our faces ebon, our bodies lean. We rose. Skills of art, life, beauty, and family. Crushed by forces we knew nothing of, but we rose. Survive we must, and we did. We rose. We rose to be you. We rose to be me, and above everything expected. We rose.
Yes.
To become the knowledge we never knew. We rose. Dream, act, we did. Act we must, so that we all can rise.
Hallelujah.
Awesome. I am just blessed to be in today's world of living where I can see our first African American president, where we can see many African Americans becoming Congress members, senators. We just had the first African American mayor of California. Yeah, London Breed. And so we just have to keep going, as this poem says, we rose and we are still rising.
Yes, yes.
I love that, and I'm so thrilled that Dr. Murray is here with us, and Dr. Marcia Howard.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you, Sharon. This was an awesome opportunity.
I'm so thrilled. I'm so very overjoyed right now.
Thank you.
And we want to leave the audience. Please come and please celebrate. And
come learn about it if you don't know anything about Juneteenth.
Yeah,
these would be good places to learn about.
Bring your family, bring your children.
Yes.
And on that note, oceans of aloha, peace, and love.